Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel. In this series of videos, I am going to be prepping a vehicle for a race class at my local club called Truck. And this is an on-road racing club. They race on asphalt at a parking lot, and it's a lot of fun. We're doing things like F1 and the Tamiya Euro Truck class, 1/10 scale all-wheel drive, GT, VTA, the vintage touring cars, pretty much everything, and 1/8 scale GT. And occasionally some people with nitro cars show up. But the truck class is kind of unique in that there are no rules. It is a Franken truck, bring what you want, all-wheel drive usually. I mean, two-wheel drive just doesn't compete with the fours, so you pretty much got to run a four-wheel drive. Most of them are Slashes that people have built up and modified extensively, at least to some degree. And so I wanted to build something different, and the truck class looks like a lot of fun. It's one of our biggest classes. The most number of people show up for that, and for the Euro trucks, incidentally, is also incredibly popular. And I do have some videos on Euro trucks. If it's not out now, it will be shortly, along with a full build of a Tamiya Euro truck and the TT-01 chassis. What I'm going to be covering in this series is I have this Traxxas brand new low center of gravity, the LCG roller, as it was referred to. No shocks, no wheels, no electronics, but all brand new and ready to be modified and do what you want to. So I couldn't resist this, and I'm going to go over with you in this first video the various items that I'm going to be installing on here, and I'm going to get some race coverage for you guys, and I'm going to talk about tuning, and I'm going to do some videos on how to prep for racing a truck on road. I'm going to go through all the different modifications I do to lower the suspension, stiffen it up for the road environment, the kinds of tires that are different, things of that nature. And body also. Some people just run an off-road truck body, but I'm going to be running a, let's see, might as well just show you right now. This is a Pro Line body. It is a Toyota Tundra body, and I've already picked out a bunch of stencils to do a nice paint job. But it's basically a standard pickup truck because, like I said, I want to lower this and I want to make it more of a street style truck. So this is going to be slammed to the ground, and it's also going to have a 1/8 scale wing on the back to give some extra downforce at speed, try and make it a little more stable. And other than a paint job, this is pretty much going to remain as is. I'm not going to be modifying the body. But I'll cover this as well. I may do a separate video just on painting, how to use stencils, how to prep and paint a body just with rattle cans. I don't have an airbrush, and that's not something I want to really delve into at this time. Rattle cans do just fine. Tamiya polycarb paint. Let's see. Now, this build is going to stay as is into the fall, but during the winter months, when we stop racing outdoors, I'm going to start doing some indoor racing, and it's off-road, of course. There's a couple of good tracks near me. They're both about an hour in different directions, and they are both the same type of, blue groove, hard, smooth clay, very well maintained, manicured indoor tracks. And so at that time, I'm going to rebuild this truck and set it up for dirt. And that's not as dramatic as it might sound. It's mainly going to be suspension changes and a different body. I'm going to keep the same motor, speed control, servo, etc. I'm getting rid of the stock slipper clutch and putting in a center diff, and that diff will be used both off-road and on-road racing. And you know, tires will be different, things like that, but mainly it's going to be suspension changes. And so I will go over all of that at that time and talk about prepping for off-road racing with a Slash, and tuning the suspension. I've got a broad range of springs, and so you know, I'm going to do a lot of testing and tinkering, and try to come up with some good layouts for you guys if you're racing Slash 4x4s and you're interested in getting more performance out of them. This first series of videos is going to be the on-road, and then again later this year I'll be doing the off-road stuff. So I'm going to lay out all the different components that I'm going to be using in this build, and show you all of them, and talk about why I chose what I chose. And so I'm going to change the camera angle and show you all this stuff. Okay, this is my Slash project. Low center of gravity roller, brand new, and a bunch of parts to improve upon it and build it up. I liked the roller option because I didn't want to use the Traxxas shocks. I wanted to do my own electronics, and I just like, you know, doing a fresh up build with my way instead of having to throw a bunch of stuff away. I'm still going to be parking some stuff on the shelf, and that is kind of the nature of it. Let's just kind of go over this again real quick. This is definitely function over form. You'll notice there isn't a big pile of anodized aluminum parts that are just going to add weight and reduce the function of the truck. This is going to be a race truck, not a bashing truck, and it is going to be raced on asphalt and on dirt, so it's going to be configured differently at different times of the year. One major change that is not, well, I wouldn't say it's major, it's a big change, is replacing the front shock tower with another rear shock tower. This is not a Traxxas original part. As you can see, it's an RPM aftermarket, but it's basically the same part, and it's going to replace the shorter front shock tower with one that is the same size as the rear, and I'm going to run rear shocks all the way around. That gives me certain benefits. It definitely is a benefit off-road, and in any other environment I can modify the shocks easily as I need to get whatever kind of ride height I want out of the vehicle. I'm going to be putting a lot of power into it. This is a nice hobby wing setup here. It's a 4300 kV motor, nice speed controller, and it is a sensored setup. I'm not a big fan of sensorless motors. I know they have their place, and they have certain advantages. For example, water isn't as big an issue, but I'm not planning on bashing this. I'm not going to be running it through streams, so I'd rather have the performance and control of a sensored motor. I'm going to be replacing the plastic drive shaft with Traxxas CV joint drive shafts. These are a whole lot stronger. They're made of metal. They run a lot smoother because they use CV joints instead of these little spider joints, these U-joints. And so that is a huge improvement right there, just bolting these in. They're not cheap, but it's definitely worth it. And again, that's one of the advantages of, you know, buying a roller and setting things up the way you want to, instead of buying a bunch of Traxxas electronics that I'm going to pitch. I can just get the chassis with the setup that I want and then build from there. I'm going to get rid of the slipper, and I'm putting in, again, another Traxxas part. This is a center diff, but I'm not going to keep this stock. I'm going to modify it with an aluminum diff case, which is a whole lot stronger. This is not a showpiece. This has real function to it. It the diffs can take a bit of a beating, and having an aluminum case really strengthens it up. I plan to change fluid from time to time depending on the environment that I'm driving in, and so having a nice aluminum case is a lot better than the plastic. As long as I'm taking the car completely apart and putting it back together again, I'm going to get rid of all the standard hardware and replace it with stainless steel. This is a biggie and an expensive one as well. I'm using a set of fast eddy ceramic bearings throughout. So all the diffs, gearboxes, everything, out drives, everything is going to have ceramic bearings. And when you're talking a four-wheel drive vehicle, that's an awful lot of bearings. If all of those bearings are less efficient than the ceramic bearings, then that adds up a lot. I mean, we're talking 2, 3, 4. There's got to be almost 20 bearings in here. So that's a lot. The only anodized aluminum part you're going to see me putting on here is a steering setup with servo saver. This is going to be a lot stronger than the stock parts, and again, that's pretty much the only aluminum part I'm going to add. It's not a lot of weight. It comes with bearings. It's a nice little kit. It's about 15 bucks. Putting in a servo of my choice, I'm going for a really high torque servo. I want the strength to be able to yank those wheels around even when they've got a lot of power going through them in a dirt environment. An aluminum servo arm, some shock spacers. Basically, you put these inside the shock absorber, below the piston, inside the shock body, and that limits how far the shock can extend, so you can tune ride height and things of that nature with some of these. There's not a lot of them in this kit, but there's enough to do what I'm going to want to do with it, because I'm going to want to lower it down for racing it on the road environment. It's on-road truck racing, and the lower center of gravity is nice. Being able to lower that center of gravity even further is even better. There's an item that hasn't arrived yet that is a replacement battery bracket that allows for a larger battery, because I'm probably going to want to run a 3S when I'm doing the road course. When I switch this back to race indoors on clay tracks, off-road racing, I'll go back to a 2S. And here we've just got the bag of miscellaneous parts that came with the truck. I'll go through here and see what of these I'm going to keep. And for the road racing, I'll be taking off the front bumper and replacing it with a J Concepts scalpel bumper. Basically, it gives you a street car style body. It's very light. It's a couple of carbon fiber plates and some hardware and this nice big foam bumper. And last but not least, a Proline body mount kit. I really like these because they have these posts that have a threaded hole in the top, and you put in a long grub screw, and then you have these little knobs that you can just screw down on top. So instead of drilling or augering a big 1/4 inch hole in 4 spots on your body, you make a small hole about 1/8 of an inch in diameter, and you're screwing the body down onto the post so it stays put. It doesn't rattle and shake around, and it's just a cleaner, more secure way to mount the body. I've been a big fan of these. I've had a couple of these in the past on different vehicles. I've got one on my TLR right now and love it, and they're excellent. So highly recommend this for many different kits. So there we go. I'm going to start the disassembly process, and I will show you anything interesting as this goes. And if you have any questions, comments, things you'd like to see, please leave me a note in the comment section. If you haven't already, please subscribe and please click like. It's very important keeping these videos going. Just one person doing all of this myself, and it definitely gets expensive, and I need your support. You don't have to throw money at me, but I would really appreciate that you give me some likes, that you subscribe to my channel, and give me some word of mouth. Tell your friends. If you've got RC buddies, send them an email with a link to the channel, and you know, tell them about the different videos, get them to sign up. That would really help me a lot. Hopefully eventually I can monetize this channel, make a few dollars, and that means I'll be able to bring you even more kits, do more airplanes, more helicopters, drones, car racing, all of the above, because I pretty much dabble in just about everything. So please help me out and let people know about the channel. Thank you.